have with us Mr. Mahesh from Varonis. Hello, sir. Welcome at the ETCISOSecufest 2023, a three-day residential summit. First thing first, your thoughts about the event and how do you see this event is important for CISO communities?
Yeah, I think firstly, I think the event has been organized really well. We are here as sponsors, and I think our objectives for this event was to, of course, network with CISOs and understand their perspective about how they see the cybersecurity landscape evolving. So I think our objectives were met. We had a great turnout at our booth, and it's been wonderful. And I just wanted to wish and congratulate ETCISO for organizing such a wonderful event.
And what are the top cyber threats that you see that's emerging and how Varonis is helping them to mitigate it?
Okay, so when it comes to threats, more than talking about the various techniques with which hackers are trying to get in, if we see the end objectives of hackers, it's predominantly to get user credentials or get data. So most of the threats are happening around data. So I think it's important. So the techniques are new. Hackers are coming up with new avenues to compromise organizations' users and data, but it's mostly about users and data. So it's important for organizations to evaluate and see what sort of controls are around users and data. And that's where Varonis actually, we think, will help organizations to get visibility. So with our platform, we help organizations to understand or get answers to three so-called simple questions, which are really complex for most CISOs to comprehend. So one is to know where their important data is, which all users are using that data, and is information overexposed, and how is that information being used. And I think if organizations get answers to these three simple questions, we think they'll be in a much better state to establish an effective data-centric framework.
Okay. Now, when it comes to selecting third-party cybersecurity partners, what are the key areas that needs to be considered?
So one of the things that we normally recommend as consultants to customers is when it comes to deploying any cybersecurity strategy, it revolves around people, process, and technology. So technology comes in, but it's important to also see what sort of people, process controls are in place to make the technology effective for them. So the reason why I'm saying this is we have seen organizations deploying a lot of technologies, but it's not put to full use, mostly because they don't have the necessary process controls in place or people awareness for them to maximize those technologies. So that's very important. Secondly, we also ask CISOs to see what are the gaps that typically exist in their cybersecurity framework. We see customers investing sort of the same technique to defend against a single threat. Let's say, for instance, advanced malware or ransomware. Probably organizations have deployed close to about 7 or 8 controls to defend that threat. And they actually ignore certain gaps that exist in their cybersecurity framework, say, for instance, controls around users and data. So we think it's important for organizations to assess the gaps that actually exist and deploy complementary controls to ensure that they get maximum benefit out of the investment that they're making.
Thank you so much for sharing this insight with us.
Our pleasure.
I hope you enjoy the rest of the evening.
Absolutely, our pleasure. Thank you so much. Thanks. Bye.
Thank you, sir.